What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel in another video. Today, not really a mod that we're working on, but a fix. So as you guys know, last year, actually right around this time, I had to replace my CV axle on the passenger side of my 2019 Ram 1500, and it was an absolute nightmare. Not a fun experience. I ended up having to change out half of the front axle to get it to work because I had seized on, which again is a very common 5th gen Ram issue and 4th gen from what I've heard. Long story short, I was doing my once over of the truck that I do every once in a while, and I noticed that the boot is ripped. There's grease all over the place again. So luckily I reached out to 1A Auto and I let them know what had happened, and they sent me a replacement within 24 hours. So very good customer service by 1A Auto. Very happy they were able to get this to me so quickly. I'm gonna go ahead and slap this on today, guys, and I will show you what a CV axle replacement should look like. So first things first, we'll go ahead and get this wheel off. I do have the covers here, so I'm gonna go ahead and get my Allen key and go ahead and get these covers off, get the wheel off, and then be back with you guys. That way we can get started. It won't be very hard to do, and we're going to try and make this as easy as possible, so not take off anything we don't absolutely have to. So let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so as you guys can see, there is grease absolutely everywhere from that CV. Again, I'm not exactly sure how that rip happened. It's only been on the truck for a year. But I mean, it is just slinging everywhere. So it is time to get this thing replaced so we can stop the bleeding. So what I'm going to do first here, guys, is I'm going to take off the brake caliper here, and then I'm also going to take off the tie rod. And next, after that, we'll go ahead and take off the upper control arm bolt so we can kind of pull this back. So let's go ahead and get started here. Alright guys, so one thing I forgot to mention, you do want to take off this axle nut first. That is a... what size is this? Oh, there's grease on here, that's why. It is a 35 millimeter for this axle nut here. So go ahead and zip that off. I've already started taking off the brake caliper bolts, so I got one more at the bottom to do. Then, once the brake caliper is off, we'll go ahead and get off the upper control arm bolt. Alright y'all, I'm sorry, I kind of got on a roll, taking things off and forgot to film. But what I did is I went ahead and took off the tie rod. That tie rod is a 13/16. So I took off the tie rod. If you get any resistance back on this, you can push down on it and it will push this taper down, and it will help hold this still if this is spinning with the nut. So just something to keep in mind. So I went ahead and got that off. This is also a 15/16, so I went ahead and zapped that off as well. The brake caliper bolts, as well as the upper control arms and the tie rod, everything that I took off was a 13/16 or a 21 millimeter. So whichever one you want to use will work just fine. But that's the sizes for all of those bolts down there that I took off, 13/16 or a 21 millimeter. Once I got that off, I took my hammer, which is down there right now, and I went ahead and whacked right here. Came right off, very simple to do. If you have trouble with the hammer, you can use a pickle fork, but it's gonna tear up this boot, so there's something to keep in mind there. Once I did that, I went ahead and lowered my jack. I was able to pull the knuckle back, and then I was able to pull the shaft right out. Now, I did find where the hole was. Where was it at? It was a pretty big one. There it is, right there. Again, I have no idea how that happened so quickly, but hopefully the replacement one I have will last a little bit longer. But again, guys, it's that simple. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean as much up as I can in here and get the new one in. All right, so here is the new CV axle. Like I told you guys in the last video about CV axles, make sure you put a crap ton of anti-seize in here. I mean, do not go easy on it, because you do not want to take the chance of it seizing up on there like I had in my previous video. Alright guys, so again, that was actually very easy, much easier than the first time I remember. So I went ahead and cleaned up as much as I could down here. Probably going to wipe down these areas a little bit better. I don't have any brake cleaner, unfortunately, but just use some rags and clean this up. But it's super easy. So once you get all that off and your knuckle is pulled back, you just push that axle forward up into the splines. Once you get it onto the splines, get it on there as hard or as good as you can, as far as you can, and then take a rubber mallet. Do not use a strong hammer because you don't want to mess up the threads here. But you'll take this rubber mallet and you'll hit the threads from right over here. So you'll hold the axle and you'll smack that with the rubber hammer or rubber mallet. And then once you do that, it should slide right up into the threads as it should. And then once you do that, it's as easy as maneuvering this piece right here into the actual knuckle itself. Again, it was very easy. I did not struggle at all. All it takes is lowering that jack just a little bit more, and it gives you more room to work with here. All right, so we got everything back on. Got this nut back on. We got the tie rod nut back on. Torque specs will depend on what upper control arms you have. So I'm not going to put torque specs in here. You can Google it, it'll pop right up. It just depends on if you have stock control arms or if you have ready lift or in rough country. I'm sure the aftermarkets are all similar, but I don't want to say it on here and be wrong. So go ahead and look that up for your specific application. For the tie rod, I believe it's 55 or 60 foot-pounds on that one. I did go a little bit more than that just because it's a little bit of an important piece to the truck. So I believe I went up to like 65 foot-pounds on this. But it's on there tight, it's on there good. But everything else should be good to go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get this brake caliper back on. I'm going to have to clean it up because as you can see, it's an absolute mess. So I'll clean that up and then we'll get that on, look at the finished product. All right, we have got everything back together now, guys. Now the one thing you do want to keep in mind, I did go ahead and use a blue Loctite. I got this from Harbor Freight for, I think it was a couple bucks. Blue Loctite on both of the caliper bolts because they are like that from factory. And then I also put some blue on the axle nut as well. Again, that's just precautionary. I did torque everything to spec, but just precautionary. Everything is back together. So now take it for a little short drive to make sure everything works, but it's as simple as that, guys. This took me maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And that's while filming to get this replaced. So it's not hard to do. It's only hard when that portion over there on the axle seizes, which is very common again on these 5th gens. All right, we just got done with a little test drive. Make sure everything's good. I didn't hear any noises or anything like that. So everything should be good to go. Again, guys, it's that simple. As long as you don't have a seized end on the actual axle itself, which again is pretty common. But if you don't have a seized end on there, it's really super easy to do. Again, took me maybe 1 to 2 hours maximum with filming. If you did both sides, you're probably looking at 2 to 3 hours. But very simple process, not hard to do. You just got to hope and pray that you do not have a seized axle end. So again, guys, hope this was informative. It was a super quick video. But thank you guys so much for watching. Again, we got a lot of good stuff coming up soon here for the truck and for the channel, so make sure you stay tuned. Please like and subscribe for more content coming your way here very soon, and thanks again for watching.